Okay, before we get into this chat between Duncan and I have a question for you watching or listening to the video. Do you struggle to eat better and stay consistent with healthier eating, losing weight, losing fat, getting in shape and building fitness into your life in a way that works for you in and around your family life and your work life? If that sounds like you, this is going to help you out massively. Tune into the video. This is my good friend Duncan, who has been a client of mine in the past. He's currently working with me just now again for the second time around. We've known each other for a few years. Duncan is a business owner. He has a large family out in Oban, and now he's currently training to change careers and become a personal trainer. But he has had, I would describe Duncan, well, I'll start talking to you now, Duncan, since I've introduced the listeners. I would describe you as the epitome of busy. And obviously we went through a lot of challenges in helping you get consistent with your training and build fitness into your life. Even for someone who wasn't like new to exercise, you had quite a very physically experienced past, I would say, and you've done a lot of fitness before. But getting consistent, because business was getting in the way, a lot of family challenges was really challenging for you. So we're going to dive into a lot of that stuff to help you guys out and give you some kind of clarity and maybe some action steps in order to help you get more consistent with fitness and actually make progress with that, and also help you with some practical steps and make the mindset shifts in order to improve how you're eating and actually improve your health. So Duncan, can you just take us back to when you and I first started working together, when we first met? This was, I can't remember the year, but it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. What was the, since then we've summited Mount Kilimanjaro together as well. What was the reasons that you wanted to make changes back then? What kind of triggered you into reaching out to me?
So we first got talking, I was the other end of 30, obviously. I let myself go a bit. Sounds daft, but I definitely lost the mojo. Wasn't as confident as I used to be. Just didn't have that spring in the step I had when I was young and invincible. And I just knew. I tried various attempts at staying in shape myself, and I knew I had to reach out at some point. So you popped up just at the right time, I think.
Glad that happened. When you say lost the mojo, what do you mean by that?
I mean, when you're younger, full of life and just spring in your step, walking tall, nothing can stop you, confident, take on any challenge. That when you start getting overweight, you become, from my point of view, it become a bit lazy. I had a physical job, but it wasn't enough to keep me, in shape. So I forgot what it was like to just walk tall. You know what I mean? I wanted to feel that feeling again. And I definitely, I feel that I'm now in my 40s and I've got that back again. I feel better now than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's this is the feeling that I wanted now. That's what I wanted when I reached out to you all those years ago.
And I think that's important, isn't it, to highlight that you're in your 40s now and you're feeling that again.
Yeah. Because
how many friends do you have, or how many people have you heard the whole wait till you get to my age? And it's like, after I remember people telling me after 30 it's all downhill.
Yep.
After 30 is fucking young. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and now you're in your mid to late 30s. You hear the same thing about 40s, but I know so many people in their 40s because of taking steps to look after themselves. They're like, hey, 40 is the new 20.
I'm telling you.
40 is the new 20 when you have some steps in place to progress your health and your fitness. Like you really understand like what's achievable there.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in my 20s, you know, I was definitely physically fitter, less. I probably prepared less for sport. Like went into like hard games of shinty, and got absolutely smashed to bits with a shinty stick all over your body, and you come out of that, you go and have a few beers, and you feel fine. Probably couldn't do that now. You are probably more susceptible to injury, but
Yep.
I'm now trying to put the sort of practices in place, the habits in place, which are going to sort of keep me injury free, you know, and to be honest, just keep this kind of confidence and this spring in my step here. You know, it's quite now that I kind of almost forgot what that felt like, and I've kind of got that back. That's quite important for me. Like,
yeah, and that's an important point as well. I actually think we are, even though we might not be hormonally advantaged in our 40s versus where we were in our early and mid 20s, I think we've got a hell of a lot of advantages because we have what there's a famous strength coach that I follow named Dan John, and he wrote a great article called Geezer Wisdom.
Right.
And it's mostly aimed at athletes, but the same principles apply here because we have too much ego when we were younger, and it is, you're talking about that feeling of being invincible. Sometimes that runs us into problems. Like, you know, I mean, I'm a lot smaller than I used to be, and a lot weaker than I used to be, and I've had to deal with horrid injuries, shoulder and knee, right? That knocked me back years out of decent training, and I'm slowly and progressively building myself back up. But I've got that experience and I've got that wisdom not to do some of that dumb shit again, believing that I was just bulletproof and I could do anything. And by the way, for you watching the video and listening, we're going to touch on some injury stuff a little bit later in this show, because we've had those questions like how to deal with staying motivated when life's getting in the way and you pick up injuries and you're feeling a bit down and stuff. We'll get into that stuff as well, because Duncan and I have both great experience there. But back to that advantageous stuff, I think that experience from the past, we're not in a rush to get results. We know things come slowly, and we're probably more thinking about, yes, we want to look good and have a good physique, and there is some vanity there for sure. We all want that, but there's probably more an emphasis on health at this stage. Right? We want 100%. To be healthy. We want to be healthy examples for the family, the kids. We want to live longer with them. We're maybe thinking like, you know, I want to be around when grandkids pop up and stuff. I want to be able to do stuff with them as well. So we're starting to think way ahead in the future rather than just, you know, looking like a fitness cover model, like perhaps we maybe aspire to in our 20s and stuff. So I think that puts us in a big advantage because we are a lot more conservative, we're smarter, and we can take things step by step and start to apply that patience and think long term now, for sure.
Yeah. And I certainly think your approach, you know, for those reasons, is a more sustainable approach. You know, long term. The quick fix, the gain 6 kilos of muscles in 6 weeks, or you know, that's completely false. Like,
it's a load of bullshit anyway.
I fell for that so many times. You know, read all the articles and all these magazines for years, and I'm like, oh, why can't I? What am I doing wrong? Why can't I put on that? It's just a load of rubbish.
You weren't taking PEDs. That's where you were going wrong. I mean, that's where you were going right, but that's where you're going wrong versus the stuff you were reading about in the magazines.
see, like my son's 18 now. He looks like, I mean, he's got a good physique, you know, for his age and all that, but he probably takes too much in from all these YouTube influencers and all that. Sure. And to be honest, 90% of them will be on roids.
Yeah, loads of them. I'm constantly working with my son, who's 15, Kenzie. You've met Kenzie. I've met your boy Owen. In fact, we're going to make the both of them watch this. We're going to make the both of them watch this video afterwards. Kenzi's in the gym. He's started boxing as well now, and he's in
Right.
the gym constantly. He's constantly flexing his biceps and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like they're at that age where they just need to look at a dumbbell and they respond. They get results. So I'm constantly guiding him, and I'm maybe actually being a little bit too conservative with him because I'm thinking about all the injuries I ran into and all the mistakes that I made, especially with nutrition and diet and sleeping and all that kind of stuff as well. So this will actually be good for them to watch. I wonder how much of the geezer wisdom that they'll actually take on board.
Very little.
Yeah, you have to learn through experience as well, though, don't you?
Yeah. When I was that age, it's the same. You don't want to listen to the guys that are 20 years older than you, but the guys that are at like that sort of 40 age, they've now got all that experience, but they're still open to learn. So they've not got to the stage of their life where they do everything the way they've always done it.
Yeah.
Like I'm very, even with the forestry side of it, I like to know new techniques or new ways of doing things. I'm not so set in my ways that I only do it the way I've always done it. So I think about this sort of age, I feel a bit of like I'm at an advantage in certain respects of life because I've got quite a bit of knowledge under my belt and I'm still open to, still adaptable and still able to take it in.
You need that.
Mm-hmm.
You need that. Okay, so we're going to switch fire and get back into your journey, Duncan. So, and for you who are watching the video or listening back to it, do us a big favour. Hit like on this video because it really helps the channel. It helps how the algorithm shows the video to more people. So more people who need the help and advice, more busy dads who are trying to get healthy and fitter for their family. We need this video to reach as many people as possible. So please hit like, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe, and you will get more of this content that we plan on putting, or I plan on putting weekly on the channel throughout the rest of this year. I really appreciate that. Thanks very much. So Duncan, when we started off with yourself, mate, getting you fit and healthy and feeling confident about yourself again, what were some of the challenges that we ran into? I remember a lot of them, but we're going to share some of that, and then we can help people with some advice and steps because they're going to run into similar challenges in relation to life getting in the way. So from a nutritional perspective and trying to improve your diet, what were some of the challenges there that you found whilst having a big family and kids at different ages and stuff?
The biggest, probably still, the biggest thing you need to, when you're just at the start of your journey, this is my perspective. I tried to change too much at once. I tried to change what I was doing, what I was consuming, and all the family, and that wasn't never ever working. Like, what I found was, I definitely overthought it. It was more just about tiny incremental changes, just one change at a time, and that could be simple. Just drink more water a day. Do that for a month before you start. What I keep saying to people is just don't think about a diet. Don't change too much at once. Just little incremental steps, and that will be lasting habits. My family, I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. I try my best. We have to go. No, we don't have to. We go out for dinner once in a blue moon. We'll get a takeaway now and again, but I will try and make just a slightly better choice as to what I would have done before I met you. There's no big secrets. It's just all about small changes, tiny, just the smallest thing.
Yeah, I would like to elaborate on that as well, mate. Of course, there are important things about nutrition if you're wanting to lose fat, build muscle, look a bit more athletic, and have an aesthetically pleasing body, like how much protein you're getting in your other macros and stuff like that. But rather than getting into anything complicated right now, I think the important thing people struggle with is change in general. And when it comes to nutrition, it's so common for I mean, obviously with me being in this kind of coaching role full time for the past pretty much about a decade now, I've had so much feedback from different people. So for a lot of family men, they'll put off making changes because there's concerns, how's that going to impact the family? Do I need to eat differently from everybody else? Do we need to cook a bunch of different meals? Is my other half going to be supportive and help with some of that? Or, potentially is she going to just fuck me right off and not be helpful at all, so I wouldn't be able to make changes? And these are all legit challenges that, different men have uniquely to their unique situation. But it's like we always create more worry and fear about a new process in our heads than what's actually required. And when we're taking this kind of micro actions approach to creating new habits, everyone's always going to have their unique limitations, but we can always progress from where we're at right now with any given element of healthier lifestyle, healthier nutrition and stuff. And like you mentioned, so in a bid to create a better hydration habit, it's like, okay, when I talk about micro actions, I'm talking about breaking things down small. So in terms of nutrition, that might be, okay, let's work on getting our protein intake improved. Doesn't need to be perfect, but let's figure out what the optimal amount is each day for me, and I'm going to work towards that. I'm going to go from where I'm at now with it to better. It doesn't have to be on the button every day, but I'll work on that one thing.
Yep.
I'm going to practice that every single day for a couple of weeks. Just that one thing, right? Because that has a lot of carryover into a lot of other stuff. Increasing energy, making us feel fuller, building muscle easier, recovering from workouts better, having better workouts, wanting to work out more, which then bleeds into other stuff. And when we talk about hydration, okay, let's aim for 2 litres of water a day, every day. And don't worry about anything else. Like, just do this now for 2 weeks, because that's going to have all those other benefits as well. Increasing energy, which if we increase energy and mood, we automatically increase levels of motivation to want to do stuff, right? And motivation to not want to overeat and tons of shit and stuff. And once we do one thing, like that one thing, like if it's hydration or if it's protein, what we're also doing there is we are creating confidence in our ability to make new change. And we do it in a way that it's non-harmful to family life. It's not impacting, it's not having us immediately, having to make lots of different meals and overcomplicate home life and how we're living and stuff. And that's why a lot of people put off changing, because of the fear. That's stressful, right? These are positive changes, but they can be harmful, and then just knock you off the wagon. And when we just build in step by step, and you said 1 month, I'm saying 2 weeks, right? Because that's how I coach people through in the transformation program and the 12-month inner circle. But
you're wrong.
Yeah, I am wrong. But you could even slow it down more. I mean, imagine, because so many people just choose to stay where they're at, even though they're struggling with their weight, their body image, their health, their energy, because they believe that it requires this whole, okay, I'm starting Monday, I'm going strict, I'm cutting out all the shite, I'm going to stick to this new health kick or diet. But it doesn't need to be that way. You just change one thing. Imagine you took 12 positive habits, right? To list a few that would change your. That's such a throwaway term these days. Change your life, right? But these would, and if you just worked on improving these, like, and did one at a time, practiced it every day. So here they are, like hydration, 2 to 3 liters of water a day. Steps, right? There's a magical number, 10,000 steps, right? But there's nothing magical about it. Get between 6 and 10,000 a day. Just improve where you're at. So it's more movement. Protein. Eat protein with every meal. Try and get somewhere between 40 to 50 grams per meal if you eat 3 meals a day. Fruits and vegetables. Get at least 5 a day every day. Lots of different colours. I'm not going to list any more than that. Like, there's four habits that would change your life. Literally. Obviously, we coach you through more in the coaching programs and stuff. But I'm going to fling in another one. Better quality sleep. Right, there's 5. There's 5 habits. If you worked on one of those a month and built those over 5 months, life, body, energy, like it's all going to improve massively.
I was always I was my own worst enemy. read way too many articles in way too many magazines, and I was always the all or nothing. You know, I've said this to you before, and it's only after been a long time that I've managed to, you know, it's probably been a good couple of years at least that I've managed to change that round from everything being perfect all at the same time. You know, all my nutrition, everything, training, everything has to be perfect. Nah, it's just about little small changes, but being consistent with them.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like whenever a lot of people start the new health kick, sometimes they'll try to be so perfect. It's like there's no room for progress. There's only room for regress. So it's like after that couple of weeks of motivation, listen, that's going to fall off a cliff. Even if you take a smart strategy like this micro actions approach that we're promoting, motivation's going to come and go. That's going to dip, and when that dips, and then real life obligations start kicking in, and the journey isn't exciting anymore because changes happen real slow, and you're just comparing like if you're in your 4th week and things are starting to go wrong, you're comparing how you're doing that week to how you did in the 1st week when you were absolutely flying. You can only feel bad about that. Do you know what I mean? So it's having expectations that life's going to get in the way, and that's normal. It's a normal part of the process, and just rather than having that all or nothing mentality, because you're just going to quit if you can't get rid of that. It's like, okay, what can I do? Like if I can't make time for my full workouts that I had planned originally, can I train for 10 minutes? Like, can I pick 1 or 2 of my exercises from my workout program, the ones that I probably enjoy the most, and I just train them hard.
Yeah.
And maybe I just do 10 minutes every day, so shorter but more frequent, rather than the 3 1-hour workouts a week or whatever it is you're doing. On that note, mate, can you give us some examples of where you applied that kind of mentality within your workouts through the process?
Quite a few times. My workouts have never been long-winded. Just don't have the time for it at the moment. Not until I can hopefully at some point go full time with the PT thing. But sometimes I would have 10 minutes at lunchtime. I know that I would be working late, so I would open the cab door of the machine, just start doing pull-ups off the machine, off the side of the machine. You know, walking down the track. You know, I could find a branch of a tree and just do some pull-ups. You know, anything just to get something done, because I know I'm going home late, really late. I've got paperwork to do. I've got this to sort out, that to sort out. I need to see the kids. It's if I still had that all or nothing approach, it would have been nothing. Yeah, it would have been like, what's the point in doing 10 pull-ups off the machine? That's just a waste of time if I can't do all my other exercises with that night. It's better than nothing, and it keeps it present in your mind. You're doing something.
Mm-hmm. I remember that well. So that was like the first time we were working together. For you guys watching or listening to the video, Duncan, his business is in forestry, so he's out in the woods, which is nice. It's nice to work outside and stuff. But because some nights, like, we could just never plan it because there was so much unpredictable stuff in your business. So we ended up sacking off the gym workouts and maybe spent a couple of months just like training with what you had available to you out in the woods and keeping it like 20-minute workouts. So it was like picking up logs and squatting with those. We were just progressing with press ups and the jerry can carries or the fuel can carries, picking them up and walking around and doing farmers carries with those, and then doing pull ups off of one of your forestry machines. And to be honest, like we did quite well. Because I remember like you sending me some pictures of your progress, and you actually fucking shredded at one point.
If it wasn't so embarrassing, I would like to, to show people what is achievable. Staying in a caravan in the middle of the forest no gym equipment, and I'd like to show people what is achievable when you just put your mind to it.
Do you still have your old progress photos from back then?
Sorry?
Do you still have your old progress photos from back then?
Aye.
Aye, we'll need to look them out.
Aye. So just doing something, just doing something at night, getting in the caravan, throwing the stir fry into the walk, having that, and then just get out on the bike or go out for a walk. There was a job I was working at. It was quite a popular forest for shooting deer. There was this bar that a metal bar they used to use. It had like kind of hooks and that on it. I think used to slaughter deer on it, and I'd be up trying to keep fit.
Absolutely, you use whatever you've got. We did that when you should see. I wish I saw some pictures of that. I asked some of the boys when we were in Afghanistan. When we were in like can't remember the name. Camp Bastion was the main base, so there was tons of good facilities in there. But we were out in the grounds most of the time, in the forward observation bases where everything was just makeshift. So we were just like, there was like a small area in the outpost camp where we would go and train.
Yep.
And bench presses were made with like axles and tires around them and shit like that. It was great.
That was when I realised that's when I first invested in the weighted vest that you sent me a link to. There was exercise bands. That's when we really had to start thinking outside the box. Like, what can we use? There's no space to do anything in a caravan. What can we use?
Do you know, sometimes I think that's actually the individual depending. From a training perspective, not necessarily for a weight loss perspective, just for you who are tuning into this. Weight loss and fat loss, mostly your nutrition and diet, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that stuff in a second. But from training and getting in, like having a decent physique and improving your performance, sometimes I think it is one of the best situations where you have very little equipment. Because, and we were having this conversation recently, Dunks, because obviously you're now training to become a personal trainer. You've got your own garage gym, which you're sitting in just now, and it's, to be honest, one of the best personal gyms in the country, which is a very fortunate position you're in now. But I remember when you spent about $4 or $5 grand on all this equipment there, and you're like, right, can we start incorporating a lot of this different stuff? And I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to need to break the bad news to you that there's no point in like trying to have too much in a program cycle at any one time, because it creates a lack of progress and diverts your attention in too many different directions. And that can be the trouble sometimes when you have all this kit. It's like they want to do a lot of different things and you end up not making any progress. But when you have limited resources, sometimes it's a beautiful situation, because it's like we've got for upper body pushing, we've got press ups. Can't do pull-ups, but we've got a suspension trainer, so we'll do inverted rows. We've got like one dumbbell. Okay, we're doing offset weighted split squats. We've got a grass hill close to us. Okay, we're doing some hill sprints in this training program as well. We've got these exercises. We're just going to progress with them over the next 3 to 5 months or whatever. And plenty of situations like that. We've got people in great shape.
Well, I mean, the on the run up to Christmas, the 12-week or 11-week, I think it was, between the first and the last picture, like I was dying to use this kit, and there were none of that was getting used. You just had me. It was just like some dumbbells. There were very little of that kit like was actually getting used.
Yeah, in fact, most of the guys that are on the program just now are on the training program with dumbbells in it, and all that's really incorporated in there is some bodyweight exercises. Press ups are always there. Press ups are one of the best exercises you can, if you do them well and you make good progress with them. So bodyweight exercises, the dumbbell work, so like dumbbell bench, dumbbell overhead press, the dumbbell Romanian deadlifts and split squats. A suspension trainer, couple of resistance band stuff. That's it. Like no fancy equipment there whatsoever. Most of the guys are training at home with that kit and getting great shape.
Yep.
They're getting great shape. So we're gonna switch fire to the nutritional side of things just now, mate. What did your diet used to look like? Give us like an example of a typical day when you were feeling, when you first reached out and you were feeling not so great about yourself, and then we're going to contrast that to how it looks now, and then the steps you took to change that.
I mean, I was still getting my fruit and veg in. That was probably more fruit than veg, but because I work in the forest, you're taking a piece box, lunch box, piece bag. You've got no choice, but to eat fruit or whatever if you've got it with you. But I mean, mine would be, I would still have tins of mackerel and stuff like that with me, but there would also be like tins of beans or tins of macaroni, sandwiches, loads of sandwiches every day. The odd day, I would probably have a bag of crisps, but it wasn't nothing major like. But nowhere near the amount of water I was drinking. My mornings before I left the house, it was probably like a bowl of cereal, something like that. Bowl of cereal. Dinner, just I would usually be starving by the time I got home, and then it was a case of, an absolute mountain, just because I was so hungry. Just eat it as quick as I could, get through it all, and then I'd just be like, burst on the couch all night.
So do you know what stands out for me? Because obviously you were talking about some of the reasons you wanted to change before was just not feeling good, and often our day-to-day energy impacts like how we feel about ourselves and mentally as well. And what stands out there, mate, is between your breakfast that you were having, the bowl of cereal, and I'm not going to demonise a bowl of cereal. I had a massive bowl of cereal yesterday, but it's not something I do every day. Sometimes I just like that. And then the lunches that you were talking about, they seem very carbohydrates heavy and also processed carbohydrates heavy, right? So there's not a lot of good nutrition value in there. There's carbs, there's probably lots of calories, there's low protein. Wasn't enough fruits and vegetables, so one maybe getting that probably fibre coming in, depending on the cereal and the bread you were using. If it was white breads, then not so much. So, and those things cause a big raise in blood sugars, and then a few hours later, you're always going to be guaranteed that dip.
Yep.
Because that produces the big insulin rush to clean up the blood sugars. And what happens is, rather than bringing your blood sugars back down to base level where it was at when you woke up in the morning, it washes the sugars out so fast that it brings it down into like a deficit. And that's where we get that afternoon slump. And then what that triggers in a lot of people into doing is, we feel like we need an afternoon pick-me-up. And that's going to come from energy drinks that are full of sugar, full of caffeine. It's going to come from more coffee. And that's how a lot of people can end up drinking way more coffee than is good for them, which fucks up their sleep later, which keeps them in that cycle of feeling tired and run down. And also sugary snacks and stuff like that. People use those things and those treats to pick them back up again, but it just keeps them going through that cycle of rising blood sugars, then the big dip, rising blood sugars, then the big dip. And this stuff impacts sleep as well. So because we've got that poor sleep quality, first thing you wake up in the morning, it's like you're waking up knackered, needing that pick me up again, and you're in that pattern, and people stay in that for years.
Well, funny you should mention that the coffee. I had never thought about mentioning that 2 minutes ago. I was taking a flask, like a litre flask of coffee with me, because you're exactly right. If about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I would need to just swig a few coffees because all I wanted to do was sleep. Now, I haven't had that for a long time. My days are just energy levels are just quite consistent. I wake up, have a coffee in the morning, but it's black, organic, is it ashwagandha mushroom coffee, so it's good healthy coffee. That's me for the day. But when my nutrition was I didn't think at the time it was bad, but like you say, because the energy levels aren't there, you come in at night to have your dinner, then you can't be bothered actually making a good nutritious set of meals for tomorrow. So what you do is you go, I might as well just buy it out the garage in the morning. So on your way to work, you're buying the sandwiches and all that. But I always knew that I needed protein So it'd be like chicken sandwiches, but you're maybe getting like what 5 to 10 grams of protein in a sandwich.
Yeah.
But to me, because I had no idea.
Not to mention the quality of the chicken that's probably in there as well.
You'd be lucky if it was chicken.
Yeah.
So that energy thing, it's just as good that you mentioned that, because mine was just all over the place.
Yeah, and something I clocked on that you mentioned there. You were in the mindset of that your diet wasn't that bad. So many people come to me with that, and I'm not really. I don't really like to call bullshit on people. Like, I'm not that kind of coach, but I do have a duty to help people realize where their level of thinking is holding them back, because so many people will say to me, my diet actually isn't that bad. Do you know what I mean? But it's always the diet. It's always the diet. Don't get me wrong. So many people are not training properly either to see the results that they want from their fitness. But it's always the diet. I see more people who are they're getting their training right than their diet right, and both are in small numbers.
Yeah.
In terms of getting the training right, but put it this way: if you have energy problems, if you are carrying too much body fat, and you need to lose fat, you need to lose weight and improve your shape. Yes, the training might be an issue, but it's definitely the diet too. Definitely your nutrition. And I think a lot of people maybe rate themselves nutritionally based off because they don't eat too much shit food. And that might be true, but that doesn't mean that you're getting enough nutritionally minimally processed whole foods in the right amounts. You're getting enough protein, you're getting enough fruits and vegetables, you get enough variety in order to promote good healthy gut bacteria and all that stuff, because that makes a massive difference for a lot of people who are training consistently and got the workout programs going well. They just change these things, and all of a sudden the body changes, the energy changes, mood changes, all that good stuff.
Well, I mean, like you said earlier, I've been in and out the gym for years, on and off for years, and motivation was there. When I started a new program or I get a new gym membership, motivation was there. Good couple of weeks, nailing it. But the nutrition was never there. Nutrition was pretty much eating what I've just mentioned. So energy levels are up and down. Comes to the time when I need to go to the gym and I'm like, man, I just can't be bothered. And then it just, because I'm an all or nothing guy, the training stops. But like you say, I never seen a difference in myself. I mean, it was maybe at the most I went to the gym for 3 months consecutively, non-stop. Never seen a bit of difference because my nutrition was totally off. Yeah.
So what's the diet looking like now in contrast to how it used to be? Give us an example of a day's diet, and then we're going to get into some specific things about tips on meal prepping and those kind of things. So what does a day's average eating look like for you, mate?
So around about 6 o'clock, I'll wake up, have 4 eggs. I'll have protein shake with different, vitamins, B12s, D3s, K2s, omegas, all that in it. Protein powder, half an avocado for my healthy fats. And that'll keep me going till about 9. Then it's a big tub at work, big tub of like yogurt with all sorts of fruit, nuts, seeds, flax seeds. There's figs, raspberries, blueberries. There's protein powder mixed in with oatmeal. There's some peanut butter sprinkled on top. A little bit of agave nectar to sweeten it up. And then there's maybe another 2 protein-rich, rice, vegetable, chicken or beef or, whatever that is, meals during the day. I'll have, like half a cucumber with each one of them, or a couple of tomatoes or a pepper, whatever that is. And then I usually have a snack every day of a banana and a minimally processed protein bar. So not one of these things out the garages with 100 ingredients, or something with maybe less than 10. So
yeah,
not perfect, but I like a little a little treat.
I like more than a little, to be honest.
Aye, and then home for my dinner, which can be any sort of grilled meats, or any, we fry up chicken in olive oil. Always have my veg, my meats, my carbs. Good healthy carbs, sweet potatoes, or brown rice, leafy vegetables, and then I'll always have a few nuts thrown in for my healthy fats. If I get peckish before I go to bed, I know I shouldn't. Try to resist the urge of eating before I go to bed. I will make sure it's like some cottage cheese or something like that.
Yeah. So, couple of things that are popping into my head there, and it's like the big difference from where you were at before. Before there wasn't a lot of foods mentioned before. There was a bowl of cereal, there was some sandwiches, there was a tin of beans mentioned, or a tin of macaroni, and those kind of things. I can't remember everything that you just said there, right? So I'm going to highlight a few things for you guys that are watching and listening, so you can take some practical tips and steps from Duncan's nutrition. I'm also going to highlight some things to be aware of, to even some of the healthy things to not overdo, because it can stop you from losing fat and seeing results. And it's like a lot of the clients that I've worked with over the 10 years I've been doing this, anytime that somebody takes my advice so much that the general diet starts to have lots of things in it, lots of different nutritious whole foods, they always tend to get better results and do better. So there's lots of variety there, and that's one of the things that will massively improve your gut health and your gut microbiome. So it improves your energy, your immune system, because a lot of your immune system, is built in the gut. It's like a big diversity of different plant-based foods, and plant-based doesn't always mean like a vegetable, right? A green vegetable and leaves and stuff like that. All seeds and nuts and those kind of things, they're all plant-based foods. Apparently coffee is classed as plant-based as well, and that improves your gut health too, to some degree. So there's lots of protein there at every meal. You've got lots of colourful vegetables. You've got smart carbohydrates, so there's no fear of carbohydrates. There's no cutting out carbs. There's no going keto or anything like that. There's no fat phobia in relation to carbs, which a lot of people have this belief of, which is a myth that needs to die. And there is healthy fats at every single meal. So the meals are balanced. You've got the elements of the protein, the fats, the carbs, and the colours, the colourful plants and stuff there as well. And I think if more people would just try to look at each of their meals and ask themselves, right, do I have those elements? Do I have protein? Do I have healthy fat? Do I have smart carbohydrates? So whether it's whole grain rice, oats, fruits, potatoes, sweet potatoes, those kind of things. Healthy fats, did I say them? Did I say that? And the colourful vegetables. And try and balance all the meals like that. Your health is going to do really, really well. Obviously, everyone is uniquely different in relation to your current levels of body fat, muscle mass, activity levels. So your portion sizes have to differ, but the principles, nutritional principles, will be the same. One of the kind of warning flags I would fly up for anyone listening in relation to the healthy fats is Duncan's adding quite a lot there, but Duncan's got those portion sizes of his fats down quite well to what's relevant and working right now for him. He might even increase that soon because you're currently working on mass and muscle gain, so he's going to need more calories. But with the fats, so things like your avocado, your nuts and seeds and peanut butters and oils, those are very, very high in calories. And a lot of people make the mistakes of just scoffing on nuts because it's healthy, like a big bag of almonds and those kind of things. Listen, if you're doing that, you're going to struggle to lose weight and lose fat because the calories are so high. Yes, they are classed as superfoods and they are great for your hormones and building testosterone and all that good stuff, but you have to be careful with your portion sizes. We won't talk about getting portion sizes right and stuff on this call because we could dedicate a whole session to that and it would take too long. But figure out what your portion sizes are and be conscious of that. That sound about right, Dunks?
100%. I would also add that your portion sizes are probably never as big as you think they're going to be. No, I don't mean that you're going to be starving all the time, but when you start eating proper, nutritious foods full of protein, you'll actually end up eating less. So when people say to me, "Oh, I can't really afford to eat healthy and all that," I'm saying, well, initially you think, "Oh, yeah, okay, a big basket of organic foods and meats and all that, it'll probably be quite expensive." But when you start realizing, "Oh, I'm not quite as hungry for an extra hour or an extra 2 hours, and I feel better," it's soon it kind of balances itself out.
That's a very, very important point, because a lot of people sometimes put off saying who want to come and work with me in the program because they see a lot of the results the guys getting.
Yeah,
they're thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be paying a lot of money for this diet plan and stuff." Obviously, there's no diet plan, like we've discussed. It's a habit building process, slow and steady. But what they don't realize is, initially, they're going to start to go shopping when they're gradually building up these new foods in their diet over time, and realizing, I'm spending more money on things that I wasn't before here. But they're going to save money elsewhere, because if
100%.
and this isn't just based on getting a body that looks good. This is based on health, right, and longevity. If you're not doing this stuff, it's very likely you're running yourself in an early grave. If you're not prioritizing good, healthy foods, you're going to run into problems. And what you'll find is you will be less hungry, you will snack less, you will crave less, you will phone less takeaways, you will eat less crap, you will buy less snacks and energy drinks and stuff from the shop. You're spending way more money on those things, because there's no way that you're getting away with not eating good, nutritious foods and not spending money on all the crap, because your body's going to be craving it. And the only thing that, when we're craving foods and we're low on energy and we're feeling starving and hungry, we only know what we've craved before, or what we've used before to solve those cravings, when really our body's craving good nutrition. Do you know what I mean? But we're always going to go back to the things that we know, which is usually a load of crap. And that is devaluing our health. It's also taking money out of our bank. A lot of time we're just not conscious of it because we're not adding it up. Unless if that happens. That's my experience, that's your experience, that's all the guys that I've coached, it's their experience as well. So initially, prices are going to seem to rise in your shopping basket, but things are going to balance out. You might even save money. A lot of people find that they're actually spending less money on food consumption.
For
sure.
You'll probably find as well, a lot of you'll spend a bit more time with family. You can ask the kids to come and give you a hand prepping some meals, prepping the dinner, all that. Spend a bit of time with the family in the kitchen. It starts to kind of rub off.
Which is a good point. We'll talk about that just now, and we'll finish on some of these points. So, a lot of guys want to change because they want to also set better habits and better examples for the family, but at the same time, they can use the family as an excuse. Like I wouldn't be able to eat better because they would never do that. Do you know what I mean? And in which case, you have to understand that you can never expect your children or your other half to start following healthy examples if they don't have an example to follow. And my personal opinion is that it's our duty as the man of the house and the leader within the family to take those first steps and lead by those examples. And a lot of people don't see interest in changing from their kids and their partners initially, but when they see that you're actually serious about this and you're sticking by your guns, and they see the changes in your health, mood, energy, your get up and go factor, how your body's looking, the stuff the challenges that you're starting to take on and pushing yourself, and people, they get inspired by that. Like, I fucking want a bit of this. Do you know what I mean? I just think there's anything much more powerful than that. And that sense of achievement that you are having that kind of influence on the people that matter to you, and that's what that's 100% what you need to start with that first. What's been your experience with that, Duncan?
Funny, we were just talking about that a while ago, myself and Ailey. Like, the difference in me personally, like, because the energy levels are there, the mood's better, you know, everyone I just feel better, feel like a better person. I used to be quite, you know, if something went wrong, something didn't quite go to plan at work or whatever it was, it'd be like end of the world. It's, you know, I'm just, she's noticed a massive change in my, like, my energy to be around happier. I think I'm just a more enjoyable person to be around. That's maybe debatable, but you know, that's certainly one huge positive I've taken from working with you.
Listen, I know you've just credited me there to say from working with me, but look, you're the one that's made all the changes, mate. So all credits to you, Duncan. Sure, you've been a big inspiration for me to be able to get to coach you and work with you, and also we'll become very good friends, which is a massive plus for me as well. Stuart Dearden, Stuart, thanks for watching the video, my man. Stuart's also one of our guys. He's left us a comment there saying it's really important to say as well that you're still able to eat the foods that you like. I guess you both feel that you're not missing out on anything in your diet. He's absolutely right. And Stuart's speaking from good experience there, because Stuart is one of the guys who has got, you could say, shredded. You're really, really lean, really toned, lost tons of weight, improved his life, and he's now focusing on the muscle building aspect of it as well, and making some new gains. So well done, Stuart. But you're absolutely right there. You don't need to cut things out. I haven't done that. Duncan hasn't done that. It's not a process of deprivation. For me, it's more of a focus on, rather than, and that again, big mistake a lot of people make, cutting back, cutting out. That's like the main focus. So you're always rating your success on your willpower to keep things cut out, but that's not health building. That's just, you're taking away calories there so you can see weight loss, but if you're not getting those nutritional aspects right, if you're not looking at what's my diet missing and how can I start building this stuff in slowly and gradually in a way that makes it my new normal, just makes it a habit, which is slow and steady, it's long term, then you're not feeling deprived. You're just adding stuff in that's making you feel good, fuller, more satisfied, better life, you know, just feel better, and still eating some treats and stuff you enjoy. I do that frequently. I don't have like a set cheat day. If I feel eating something, I'm going to eat it. A lot of it, but I don't feel like it anywhere near as much as I would if I wasn't hitting all these nutritional boxes.
100%.
Yeah. So it's not about deprivation. It's about building health and just improving yourself going forward. And what you find is a lot of your bad habits just start to wean themselves out, less and less and less. And that's where a lot of the calories that you're eating start to come down. So I don't really promote a calorie counting method either. It's about building in this health. And don't get me wrong, if you want to get really shredded at some point, which is like next level, once you've got a bunch of good habits and you're in a healthy weight zone and you're generally fit and looking good, if you want to take the body fat levels really lean, then you might have to track and count calories for a while to get that. But it's not really a necessity for majority of people just trying to get healthier, look good and feel better.
No, I think if you start calorie counting, you're definitely going to deprive your body of the essential nutrients it needs.
If you push it too low, you will and you can't. And you need to eat. If you're training hard and you're trying to get in shape, you need the energy. You need the energy. And for someone like me who can be quite obsessive, I've done it before and take it to quite an unhealthy level, obviously, but different for everyone.
I mean, it would say, like, if the first thing you can do is just adopt better nutritional habits, just slightly better over a period of time, and they stick. Like a good example is we bought this house over a couple of years ago now, and we thought our previous house was just ready to go, ready to sell, but we fell in love with this place and we wanted to, you know, we totally stretched ourselves and decided, right, we're going to go for it. expecting the old house to sell very quickly, and it took about a year and a half of 2 mortgages. You know, I was working 7 days a week. It was unbelievable. Like, I was getting up at 5 in the morning, getting home at 9 at night. You know, every penny was a prisoner, and I just had no time to train. I can't. Yeah, that's maybe a wee bit lame. I maybe could have fitted something in at some point, but it was almost like all I could focus on was work. And the one thing that saved me from ballooning again was the nutritional habits that I had for that couple of years prior to us moving in and getting super busy. That was just second nature. There was no reason for me to go back to the way I was. And that was just
right all the time. Yeah,
that had just been totally forgotten about, you know. But it'll take a while for these habits to stick. But once they stick, that is the thing that will just slow you, pull you through the tougher times that you're finding.
Yeah.
You know yourself. I had to sort of knock the training on the head with you. You know, I had to say, look, I can't really afford to work with you just now. You know, it's only.
And you weren't able to really make time for training properly anyway during that time.
Nah.
And I think that's a good point. Like, with the whole nutrition and fitness are two separate dials. It's like, you know, sometimes we need to turn the dial down on one or the other. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, well, I can't do my workout, so I may as well just eat whatever the fuck I want. But then you're ruining your health. You're making yourself worse. So it's almost like a self-destructive kind of switch there that you're hitting. But when we start to use that mindset of the 1 to 10 dial and looking at them individually as different things, and it's like, okay, whenever something comes up that's really challenging in life, what can I control? And focus on that. What can I do? What's the best I can do in the given situation? And we always make progress. Like, we move the needle even a little bit from month to month when we apply that kind of mentality. Absolutely. Right, we're going to finish up with a couple of questions. So Aaron was asking, how do you manage meal prep and stuff when life's getting really busy? Have you got some tips on that?
Can you repeat that just a bit? It was just breaking up a wee tad.
How do you manage meal prep and being prepared with food when life's getting really busy?
So
life's probably really busy every week.
Aye. You definitely need to set aside a little bit of time at night. Just get stuff prepped for the next day. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to spend an hour chopping veg, chopping meat, cooking meat, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you've got a spare hour on a Sunday or a Saturday, whatever, just cook a heap of meat, cook a heap of veg, put stuff in tubs, chuck it in the freezer. You know, I sometimes, and now and again, I take some like a meal delivery service that delivers little tubs of meals to the house. Now, they go straight into the freezer. They are not like fully organic, you know, all that, but it's protein, it's meat, it's veg, it's carbs. If I don't have a single minute, I'll just go and grab a couple of them out of the freezer the night before, take them into the house to defrost, and then I'll just take a big tub of veg with me. So at least my old habits would be, I don't have time, I'll stop in the garage and get some sandwiches. At least now I know there's meals there, there's meals ready. Yeah. Even things like investing in some bits of things for your kitchen that chops veg really quickly. You know, it's simple things like that. Buying packets of veg that are pre-chopped. Yeah, anything that can save you time.
I don't know what those things are, but for us, like, we have a slow cooker. We've got a soup kettle, which is great. It's a slow cooker for soup, and the air fryer. Those things bulk cook a lot of food for us, which is really, really handy. And the slow cooker obviously makes stews and stuff like that, bone broths and those kind of things, like whilst you're sleeping. And another thing, sometimes it's like, if you're cooking day to day for your evening meal, just take whatever you're making and can you just like make double and then tub half of it, and then that's your lunch for the next day if you're out and about at work and stuff like that. Just get into the habits of always, whenever you are cooking, okay, how can I maximize this time? what other stuff can I put on? So we're not spending more time cooking than what we already are to feed ourselves in this moment in day.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of you get plenty of like healthy packets of rice. You know, microwavable rice, microwavable quinoa, things like that. What they call PUY noodle lentils. Very just pure vegetable. You know, you can get cauliflower rice, stuff like that. Really quick and simple. You don't need to be there all half an hour waiting for your rice to cook. Stuff like that.
Absolutely.
You can, the more you get, the further down the road you get, the more little sort of.
It's a learning process. It's like you only pick it up through just diving in and trying to push yourself to progress with it all, with all these prepping skills.
Nah, just one step at a time.
Yeah. Nice one. Thanks, Dunks. Alex was asking, how do you stay focused and motivated when life's getting in the way and things like injuries pop up and just life throwing you obstacles in general?
Just to stay motivated, well, for a start, don't rely on the motivation, because that's a recipe for disaster. What you'll find is your habits, your daily habits that you'll learn along the way. Your discipline will carry you forward.
Yeah.
When you start thinking of, say you start thinking of, oh, I want to lose a stone and gain a stone of muscle in a year. That's a year away. You're going to sack that off. Think of next week. Just think, right, I've got this thing I need to do for next week. I want to achieve that, so I need to just get on with it this week.
Yeah.
Just I tend to start thinking of things short term now.
Yeah, so it's not. I mean, we have an idea of the outcomes we're working towards. So, for example, improve my 10K time, lose X amount of body fat, or fit into my 32 waist jeans again, increase my bench press. Those are all outcome goals. But if we're only doing it for those, like we're not going to last. So it's really focusing on the process and having and not expecting to feel in the mood to do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the longer you do it, that's the thing. The more you'll start to make that connection. Like the feeling I get when I'm out for a walk, in the gym, whatever I'm doing, I've made more of a connection now with how I feel while I'm doing something, or after I've done it, the bit of a high I get, or the next day how I feel, how I've slept. When you start making the connections about these little changes that you've implemented into your routine, it then becomes less about motivation and more about discipline.
Yeah, because the discipline equals a lot of the feelings that we're trying to get. If we're going to skip getting out and doing a workout because we don't feel motivated, so what we're going to do instead, potentially sit in front of the TV, have a beer or something like that, and then we start to realize that's making me feel even more demotivated because it's ruining my sleep. It's I'm sedating myself. But when I do the workout, I feel fantastic. Do you know what I mean? Like 10 minutes into it, even just after warming up, I've got myself moving. I'm focused. It's almost meditative and like therapy because you just it's a transition away from the day that's behind you in life, and then you get this time to focus on yourself. And the more we start to make those connections and just build that discipline, that becomes a rock rather than hoping like we're going to feel motivated to do X, Y, Z all the time. It's no, the process gives me these feelings.
Something that you taught me a long time ago. Setting yourself a weekly goal. So setting yourself, getting a journal, a diary, whatever it is, just jotting down what you want to achieve for the next week going forward. Having a plan in place, like Monday night I'm going to train, Tuesday, I'm going to go for a walk, Wednesday night I'm going to train, Thursday night I'm going to go, whatever. if you've got that in place and written down and it's in front of you and you can just tick it off, you're probably going to stick to that. You're probably going to feel the need to want to accomplish that instead of just winging it. Yeah, probably need to train tonight. Yeah, and, you know, it's in my app. I should probably train tonight. Just have a plan. Have a plan.
100%. And I think it calls for that process of having a sit down with yourself once a week, and it's a check-in. And so I do it on a Friday, the weekly battle plan, where I'll reflect over the past week. And this isn't just like in fitness. So this where I'm doing my business stuff, my accounts. I'm looking over the numbers and those kind of things. I'm incorporating like my life goals in with that. This is my personal improvement plan, if you like, and my process of it every Friday. I maybe sit there for an hour and a half doing this stuff. And a lot of people will say I don't have the time to do that, but because I do that, I get so much more done the following week. So I'm reflecting on the week I've just had in relation to fitness. I'm like, okay, did I get those 3 strength workouts done? Did I do X, Y, Z? If not, why not? What could I have done better? And then I'm setting my targets again for the following week. And when you're having that constant sit down, if you're sitting down and you're realizing, you know, I'm not doing this. I've not done any of those workouts for the past 2 weeks. There's going to come a point where you're going to give yourself a kick up the arse and go, right, hey, come on, get your act together and block off that time, make a schedule and prioritize that so that you can get that training done. And I think that's an important part of it.
Aye, oh, totally. And like, I know a lot of the guys that you train, they'll have a set plan in place for however many days they need to train and all that. But even for anyone watching that's contemplating starting, that all or nothing, that's not going to happen. Even just start with one day a week, 1 15-minute session a week. Do that for whatever, 2 months. Then that 15-minute, you'll start going, I could easily make that half an hour. That becomes half an hour, and then that could quite easily become, I could maybe do two nights a week now because I'm enjoying this. You know, just you're not going to go in and train twice a day, 6 days a week, and you've never trained before.
So,
you know,
I'm going to agree with the principle there, mate, but I'm going to disagree slightly. So I like the whole starting small thing, but one thing that I find a lot of people will be really challenged with is like if you're doing one small 15-minute session a week, because it's like it's not so frequent, it can be harder to make habit. So it's like so it can be harder like when you're waiting on this like one session coming around after a whole week, and it's like it's like an abnormality in your routine. So I think if you go do like a small session like 10 to 15 minutes, you're better just going daily.
Just do it daily.
Yeah, you're better just going absolutely daily. For sure. Unless you're going for some bigger sessions, then maybe twice a week or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that make a big difference.
Okay.
To finish, injuries, like when injuries pop up, we both know how that feels. So, what's your advice on it, Duncan? Then I'll chip in.
Don't. I've got bad knees. Always had bad knees, and always found an excuse not to train at all because, you know, I had an injured knee. Well, my advice, which we are obviously still currently working on, is, you know, adopt some mobility work. Try and concentrate on getting, you know, you don't need to go heavy on squats or anything like that. Just concentrate on some mobility work to improve your posture, your form. You can still go heavy, you know, do plenty of upper body work if you've got an injury, you know, lower body, things like that. Don't let it demotivate you. It's temporary. It might take 2 years to become, you know, get back to normal. But think of, you know, what you'll have learned in the meantime. Processes are in place, habits that are in place, nutrition. You know, I was always of the mindset, there's no point training at all if I can't go and do my squats. You know, so just concentrate on the small things. Concentrate on what you can work on, and not what you can't.
Yeah, absolutely. That's spot on. It's just continue training, but working around it. and expectations, and also get professional help. Like, see physios. Sometimes you might go through a process where you might have to see a few different physios, and that can be frustrating because you're obviously paying money into that. I've done that, Duncan. You've done that, but it's your body. Like, you don't get another one. Do you know what I mean? If you don't get things fixed and if you don't look after it, then well, like I said, there's no plan B. So
I mean,
look at
I
invest in yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I got a bit of a shock recently when we started going through some of the mobility work, and I realised there was such an imbalance from my left to my right side. So we're currently working on that. Like my tie sits, it was such a struggle. I couldn't actually do a tie sit on my left side. Right side, no problem at all. So we've worked through that. They're improving. They're almost as good as my right side now. So I could have just thought, there's no point in training now because, I'll sack it off because I can't do it right.
I think it's a good thing when you find massive weaknesses in your mobility in your game, because you're like, well, if I improve that, other things are going to improve and feel better. And progress.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? So there's an area that can spark all kinds of new gains for me and progress for sure. So injuries, work around them. It's not a stopper. Expectations are important. You're going to pick up injuries as a product of becoming someone who trains and works out. It's part and parcel. What's the alternative to not being someone who trains? You're going to get other types of injuries, health injuries. You're going to feel bad about yourself. You're going to be low on energy. You're going to be unfit. It's going to limit you in relation to, I don't know, doing big adventures and bucket list stuff that you want to do. The examples that you're setting for your family and those kind of things. So expect them when they come. Work around them. Build yourself a network of professionals who know how to handle these things, and good relationships with physios and stuff, and look after your body. Think about all the other things, the stuff, the material stuff that we invest in life. If you're not prepared to invest, at least a fraction of that into your health and stuff, then you need to reevaluate your where you're at in life. That's my advice on that one. And do what you can do. It's that whole all or nothing mindset again. Focus on what you can control.
Exactly.
So you can't press heavy because you've injured your rotator cuff. Okay, can you pull? Can you do one arm rows? Can you get really strong on them? Can you do some core work instead? If you've got a lower body and upper body injury, can you just give the joints a break for a few months and just focus on getting a really strong core and whatever things that you can do upper and lower body, then make that your focus for a while. There's always ways to progress. There's always ways to feel like you're moving the needle and accomplishing things. I've got one last question for you, Dunks, which is a little bit relevant to what we mentioned at the beginning of this video. What would be what training advice would you give to your 18-year-old boy, Owen? Is it 18? Is he 18? Is he 18?
Yeah.
Right. What's the training advice that you would give him now? And I'll respond with some of mine for Kenzie, because this is going to be so relevant for everybody else who's listening anyway, which can be a bit of fun.
Right. What advice would I give to Owen? No, this might not be for everyone of 18-year-old, but particularly for him. Stop concentrating on the muscles you look at in the mirror. The ones in the back are just as important. The ones in the back are just as important.
That is so important.
What you'll find, a lot of young people are just doing all this workouts that they're getting off some influencer on YouTube, and it's all to look great.
It's all aesthetic. It's the mirror muscles, the chest and the biceps and stuff.
Yeah. Do the boring stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the boring stuff?
Mobility work.
Mobility work, absolutely. I've been hammering that stuff to Kenzie. Do the mobility work. It won't do the hump and dump in the gym. The spinal segmentation. He does it at home, like he's practiced it sometimes. But he's like, I'm not doing that in the gym.
Aye, there's a couple of exercises that you're just asking for trouble.
because here's the issue as well. It's great to be physically active, but when we become someone like sports people, get these issues at all as well, because they're overdoing the same movement patterns. When we're in the gym and we're lifting weights, or we're in a home gym, whatever it is, and we're lifting weights or we're doing body weight strength stuff, we're training in these straight lines, right? Like press up, bench press, overhead press, pull ups, pull downs. And we become very strong in these patterns. But there's all these other movements in between that our joints are supposed to do or be able to do. We lose that, by the way. And when we lose it through modern living and being in this position that Duncan and I are in now, sitting, that shows up in our daily life as stiffness, aches, pains, discomfort, lower back hurting, hips, pain, stiff knees, stiff ankles. And then when we try and squat, we can't squat below parallel, we're too stiff, the ankles hurting, those kind of things. But we can get that back and feel young again. And it comes through doing joint mobility. So that's why we incorporate that in the warm-up routines, because I know that most people are just going to neglect it if I just give them mobility workouts. So we hit that stuff in the warm-ups before we start doing the strength and lifting stuff. So that's great advice. I'm also going to fling in there, because you gave me the idea when you said don't just train the mirror muscles. So what happens when you only train I wonder if you can see my chest. Yeah, so I'm going to go up here. The pec. Can you still hear me? I've just knocked out my mic.
Pretty broken up there, mate.
Can you hear me now?
Aye.
So if we look at the pec, right, it inserts up here in the shoulder. And so does the bicep up here, right? So when we make the bicep strong and the pec strong, they pull the shoulder down and forward, right? Now, it's a good thing to train them, but we need to train the opposite muscles in the upper back just as much. So tricep, upper back, because they retract the shoulder back the way. If we don't, we end up developing this hunched position. In modern living, is creating that for us anyway, because we're in this position all the time with the arms in front, shoulders internally rotated, whether we're sitting down on the sofa behind a computer, in the driver's seat, operating machinery, those kind of things. We're starting to conform to that posture anyway. So our strength work, if we're only training the mirror muscles, can further put us in that direction. So just do just as much work and just as much sets on your upper back. So it's like your inverted rows, your dumbbell rows and barbell rows and those kinds of things, cable rows, and that will help balance those things out.
Yep.
For sure. I'm going to chip in. I'm going to chip in with another thing. So mobility would have been definitely one of my things for Kenzie. And the other thing is just, it's progressive overload over time. So looking after your joint health, and also when it comes to strength and fitness gains with your weight training, simple progressive overload, just get stronger and don't rush it. So the difference, and this is so relevant for a lot of adults who start training because they have this expectation after 3 months or even 6 months to look shredded and ripped. And it doesn't really work like that, especially if you haven't got a strategy and you're not actually progressing with your workouts. That's why like a lot of these hit workouts and the stuff that's popular, stuff that gets your heart and lungs going, and they're sold as something that gets you in shape, it helps you lose fat and stuff, but it's not really the case. The things that are going to change the structure and shape of your body is how much you can lift. So let me give you an example. Let's use one exercise, dumbbell bench press, because it's a favourite and it works the chest. Let's say, for example, you start your workouts, you're starting your new health kick, and you can bench press those for 3 sets of 10 with the 15 kilogram dumbbells. You want to take a strategy of increasing reps and weight. So let's say you're starting with 3 sets of 5 15 kilogram dumbbells. Every time you repeat the workout, add 1 rep until you do all 3 sets, 10 reps with the 15s. Now it's time to drop the reps again, back to 3 sets of 5, but increase the weights. And this is just 1 rep per workout, so it's a slow gain. When you're eventually pressing the 30s, 35s and beyond, that's when we can expect to see a bigger development on your chest. And the same rule goes for like every other muscle group in your body. and the exercises that are relevant for training those muscle groups. And that takes time, right? That can take a good 12 months of consistent progress for you to get to somewhere like that, rather than, you know, just trying to hit and cardio all the fat off and expect to look good. You have to change the structure of your body with that progressive overload, and it's slow and steady. Don't rush it. Super important stuff. Anything to add to that, Dunks, before we finish up? We've actually been here way longer than we had planned.
I know. So much for the half an hour.
Yeah,
I've got plans. What I would, these cardio based workouts, like you say, they're sold to us for a purpose, but I would certainly say you're gonna have to add some resistance and weight training into that, without a doubt. Probably the one of the biggest sort of lies still, you know, sold us. It's all about these classes and, you know, high, you know, proper working out hard and all that. High
intensity interval training, and this stuff is good. Like, I don't like to like demonize workouts and stuff. It's anything that gets you doing exercise and makes you generally fitter is going to increase your lifespan and make you healthier and those kind of things. But a lot of guys specifically who are trying to improve the shape and the physique of their body, even if you're not trying to get massive, you're just trying to like tone up and lose the belly. Strength and progressive overload, the cornerstone of your exercise, and adjust the expectations to a bit longer term and focus on that process, like we've been talking about, and that's going to make the biggest difference.
Definitely. Yep.
Awesome. Duncan, thanks very much for coming on, mate. I appreciate you spending this amount of time. Can you let the guys know where they could follow your stuff? Because I know you're starting to share a lot of your training based stuff on Facebook and stuff now, aren't you?
Just starting to get there now. So it's just Oban Personal Trainer. You'll find me on Facebook.
Good man. Go to Oban Personal Trainer. You'll find Duncan. And if you haven't already, go to the website. It should be, in fact, it's listed in my name, deanmcmenamin.co.uk. And you'll get the access to the free Busy Dad Body Transformation Program there. You get a free training program to follow, and also help with the nutritional stuff and help you understand that whole micro actions approach to building new habits. And if you haven't already, please hit like on this video. It really helps the channel, helps how the algorithm shows the video to more people. And hit subscribe to the channel, and we'll bring more content like this in the near future. Thanks very much for watching the video, Duncan.
Much appreciated.
Much appreciated, man.
Speak to talk. Catch you later.